Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the November Tri-County Water Board of Management meeting. Thank you for everybody for being in attendance in presence and remotely as well. I welcome you all. I'll begin this meeting by calling it to order and asking for the adoption of the agenda. Madam Clerk, would you please read the recommendation?
The Tri-County Water Board hereby adopts the agenda for November 18th, 2025 as presented.
Thank you. May I have a motion? Mr. Mayhew, Councillor Drouillard, thank you very much. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Next item is disclosure of pecuniary interest. Anybody have anything that they've reviewed on this agenda that they have concerns with, a conflict of interest? I see none. Okay, moving on. You had in your agenda package a copy of the previous meeting's minutes, and I'm sure you've all had an opportunity to review them. Any errors or omissions in those minutes? Seeing none, we will ask our Madam Clerk to read the recommendation.
That Tri-County Water Board hereby adopts the minutes of October 21st, 2025 as presented.
May I have a motion, please? Councillor Drouillard, thank you very much. Mayor Hentz, thank you very much. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. Any business arising from those minutes that anybody's aware of? Okay. Well, then carrying on, we'll get down to the reason why we are all here to begin our 2026 budget discussion and deliberations. Robin, would you like to begin and introduce us to who's going to be participating in this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tri-County Water Board, before you is the information for us to begin deliberations on our 2026 budget. As noted in the report, we had assistance from Mike Turner in the development of this budget. Mike is attending with us online. And so I will probably pass that over to Mike to begin the conversation. Any questions that the board may have, we can either, Mike, would you prefer as you go or to wait to the end?
Yeah, no, I'm fine if people want to interject at a point that we're discussing at that moment, so sure.
Okay, so council, as you're aware, Mike has retired and hence he is sitting in the comforts of his own home at this time and provided his biography so you can understand sort of the municipal experience that he does bring to us and the assistance that he has been providing. But with that, Mike, I will pass it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Robin. So as you can see from the part that's included on your agenda, there's not wild changes in the 2026 budget compared to the 2025 budget. There is some good news in that the flows to the users has been higher than in previous year. In 2025, it's higher than it was in 2024. The obvious benefit of that is more revenue, which certainly helps because we all know that there's a large expenditure coming probably in 2028. We've gotten a updated estimate from Aqua, and certainly Joe and Sam can speak to that more readily than I can. But we've incorporated that into the 2028 component of the budget, where you see that we forecasted going forward. The big question mark is when you get to 2028, you have to make a determination on how you're going to fund the shortfall in the reserve. There was a new reserves sheet that was sent out that was specifically updated today. That was my lack of understanding that part was part of the agenda. I just went with the figures that were actually on the document itself, on the multi-year budget document. But if you look at 2028, you can see that there's about a $700,000 deficit in the reserve. And obviously, there has to be some kind of a mechanism to cover that funding. And I know that you have other discussions on how to proceed with the structure itself, and that may provide some options on funding that. The good news is that in talking with Aqua in the future years, there doesn't appear to be a very large capital project such as the standpipe for a number of years. So as you can see with the reserves quickly, when they drop down into a negative position in 2028, in 2029, 2030, 31, they escalate rather quickly because there's limited capital expenditures compared to some of the more current years and certainly in 2028. I can certainly answer any questions on any specific figures that anyone may have, but that's just kind of a quick overview. So I'll just sort of open it up at that point.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So any of the committee members have any questions for Mike or for Robin? Mayor Hens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Mike, I'm just curious, what would our water rates look like between now and 28 to avoid that budget shortfall? Have you looked at that?
Well, I have looked at it briefly, but not specifics to try and wipe out that. But we could certainly do that. You can see that we've got an 11% increase going for 2026, and another 10% for 27, another 10%, 10 cents, sorry, for 28. After that, you'd certainly have a decision. You could certainly hold the line at that point. To make up another 700,000, you probably could raise it, maybe another 5 cents in 2027, so maybe like 16 cents in 2026. But if you want, I can take a quick look at that while the discussion's going on.
I would be interested in knowing that number.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Hens. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Robin?
While Mike's looking at that number, I just wanted to draw the board's attention to our legal and consulting. You can see we're proposing sort of a significant increase to what we typically have. And that's to account for, one, if this board decides to move forward with an MSC, there'll be legal costs in developing the governance structure for that new entity. And this also includes $50,000 to do a water modeling study, which we had heard from the board looking at the ability to expand the consumers or customer base. And right now, our current modeling is on the individual municipalities, but we do need to look at the system as a whole and how to best develop going forward. So that's how that number, and that the increase by the 1 cent, where we were typically increasing by 10 cents year over year, that additional increase was helped to offset the operational costs for 2026. And Mike, if I'm not wrong, I thought in our conversations with the reserve, while there was a significant deficit in 2020 after 2028 to address the standpipe, those reserves bounced back quite quickly. And so the deficit would be a temporary in nature.
Yes, absolutely. In 2028, after the standpipe expenses, it's going to be in the hole by 700, but just with the normal increases that you have been doing, the 10 cents annually, it would be out of a deficit in 2029 and have about a $1.6 million for 2030. So it would turn around quickly. Just a relatively quick look at it. To actually increase the amount to wipe out the deficit, you probably need to do a larger amount increase than I had suggested. Probably about a 28 cents increase for 26, a 10 cent additional increase in 27, and a 10 cent increase in 28. That will give you enough to cover off that deficit position in the reserve. And then you could probably hold the line at $1.85 is what it would be up to for after 2028. And you could probably hold the line and it would still build your reserves up quite a bit to be able to have, a sizable reserve going forward, for the next large capital project, whenever that may be.
Mike, as you're doing that modeling that Mayor Hens has suggested, which I think is a great idea, would it also be worth including in that modeling the idea of issuing debentures to bridge that gap, or at least find perhaps a reasonable ratio between the rates going up for ratepayers and in issuing those debentures? I understand that obviously there'd be a cost to servicing that debt, but is that something that we could look at as an option as well?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we can increase the rate to a certain amount. And then if you issue a debenture, with the increased revenues that are coming from the increased flows and the lower capital, it would easily cover any servicing costs once the debt is issued. So I think you can kind of come up with any combination that the board feels comfortable with an increase and then offsetting any additional amount with a debenture financing in 2028.
Thank you for that. Any other committee members have any questions for Mike at this point? Okay, carry on.
So if I might, in the current structure of the Tri-County Water Board, because as a board, the board in and of itself is not able to hold debt. And so any sort of debt vehicle would have to fall to municipality of West Elgin as it is structured currently. And so that is something I think the West Elgin Council would have to consider on holding. Alternatively, the board, we could proportionate the debt shares across all municipalities, which they would hold the debt for 1 year. And then when the reserves bounce back within the future years, then cover off the debt back to the municipality. Those are other options. And then, of course, board, in light of the conversation of a municipal service corporation, if we were to move towards that, if the corporation was structured as a government business enterprise, then that corporation has the ability to hold debt as well.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
So that's important to be mindful of, and perhaps the committee, now that information has been shared, those are still, I think, that's time well spent in creating a model of those different options, including the realities of our responsibilities if we were to issue a debenture. Okay. Okay. You want to lead Mike into the next phase of this, or does he want to keep going?
So I guess I would just like to know if the board would like any specifics to be done on that model, and then I could certainly redo the model and send through Robin and Terry, and they could bring out to the group, or we can try to juggle it right now and come up with something. It's certainly up to the board.
Okay, so any other ideas or suggestions that should be considered or included in this additional work for Mike? Mayor Hens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason I asked the original question, it comes down to the debt. And I know where Dutton Dunwich sits. And after incurring the debt we're going to have to for our wastewater treatment plant, we're going to be at capacity. We will have no more capacity for debt. So that's what worries me when we get to 2028. I don't want to have to go to my council if I'm still there, because we will not have the capacity, I can assure you that, to assume any debt.
Thank you for being so upfront about that. I think that does certainly factor into these projections and modeling, that there are certain limitations that we need to be aware of out of the gate. So thank you. Robin?
All right, Mr. Chairman and board, just to be mindful, though, look at the numbers and how you're paying. The water rates is per cubic meter, correct? So while we're going 26 cents, that's per cubic meter for the customers. So the impact will be greater than 23 cents. I know you're all aware of that. And that rate is only the water board's portion. It's not including your local municipality's portion, of which you are also collecting to service infrastructure of the water system at your local level. Just for those who are new to the board to be aware.
Thanks, Robin. Appreciate that. Anything further on this? Any other questions for Mike? Mr. Mayor Mayhew.
Mike, I guess as elected officials, we are concerned about sticker shock. on water bills. In your analysis, are we at the median with the municipalities? Would you know, or would any perhaps Robin or Terry may know that our cubic price per meter is it competitive?
Unfortunately, I don't have that information.
Any Robin, would you have any insight into that? Is the more important factor is to deliver good water at any cost. We have to provide a quality product. But I'm just wondering to do that, to achieve that, what is the sticker shock on an average bill?
So I don't have that information offhand, but I can certainly call around and find out for you. That's going to vary, of course, because this is only half of the quotient, right? The other half of that quotient is your local municipality. And so then we're doing a comparison of what does the total bill, even if separated out for the user, they're looking at the total. So we can certainly call around and look at what our neighboring municipalities are. I mean, we hear it in every municipality, right? Why the cost of water. And the reality is when you have so few users, they're paying for infrastructure that is the same regardless if it was in Toronto or Mississauga or Guelph, you're paying for within this system. And yes, we have obligations to deliver quality water and we have obligations to maintain that infrastructure. And the standpipe is a critical piece of that infrastructure so that your pressure is maintained. So I can certainly do a call out to local municipalities. I know my relevant complaint was the cost of water, the cost of water.
Yeah, no, as elected officials, we can't ignore inquiries when they come in, and it is the cost of water is certainly almost a weekly contentious issue. But the comeback is what do you spend on your cell phone? What do you spend on Netflix and your movie channels? And when you make that comparison, water is more important than those luxuries. But regardless of what we have to do in a water system, we have to maintain that quality, and we'll have to like we're selling the water. This is the wholesale cost of water, and the municipalities are taking it and then adding the markup on it, so to speak, to pay for their infrastructure. And I know that we have requirements in our system too that we have to address. Anyway, it's I just wanted to bring that up, that on the consumer level, what the impact is going to be.
Councillor Pemberton.
Yeah, thanks. Through you. Yeah, just to maybe help answer that, Dutton Dunwich did just go through a water rate study, and they gave us a chart within that. Now, obviously, that's our side of it as well, and we kind of fell right into, so it doesn't totally answer the question, but we did kind of fall right into the median area of that, of what everybody around us was charging through different municipalities, and even through the Elgin Primary Board and municipalities that were involved in that, we were still right in that median area, if not even a little bit lower than some of them. So I know it doesn't give you a full picture of that. It'd be nice to know the full picture, but we were, according to that study, we were close to the middle of it.
Thanks, Corey, for that information. Southwest Middlesex did that too several years ago, and we were a little higher than median, but very, very close to it with comparables. Yeah.
Thank you, Corey, and thank you, Alan, for that feedback. So we do have some resources to draw from if we are, as a committee, to ask Robin to do a little bit of comparison research from some neighboring municipalities to see, just to, I suppose, to ensure that we are sort of, somewhere in the reasonable middle. And is that something that the committee is comfortable with asking staff to look after for us? Okay. So that's great. And part of this this agenda item, the mission of this was to provide staff with some direction with regards to their preparations for our budget. This was sort of an outline of the important capital projects and planning for the next few years. We've all had an opportunity to look at the agenda and see those items that have been prioritized. And as we've reviewed that here this evening, we've also had the benefit of having Mike Turner walk us through those budget items. And we have also asked Mike to do some modeling for us to provide us with some further options and ideas how to bridge that deficit with regards to some of the capital projects, particularly the standpipe that's going to be coming up. So again, is that a project? Is that an ask that this committee is comfortable asking staff to look after for us and follow up with some information at the next meeting?
At this time, Mr. Chair, the next meeting is not until January, so we would have to rearrange a date for council, for this board then to meet. And I don't, I'm not going to assume that it's going to take us very long, like to do. It's not like you're asking us to recreate the entire budget. You're just asking for some modeling. So that could happen within the next week or so if the board wishes. But we can also put out a poll to find out what dates are best. Okay.
Is that something that we would be able to just receive as a report, an email report without a committee meeting, or would that require another committee meeting to have that information?
We can certainly provide you the information via email. However, the board's going to need to approve the budget. So I would say it's even a quick online Zoom meeting, unless the board at that time has more questions, of which then, as
Perfect.
opposed to voting by email is what you're asking?
Yes.
I'm not sure that your procedural bylaws permit you to be voting via
I'm
email.
looking around the room and I'm seeing a lot of really helpful and willing committee members who are happy to have another meeting. So thank you all for that. So that's what we'll do.
Okay.
Once you've had the time that you need in order to do that, and with the support of Mike, and thank you both of you for that information and for that work. So then, with regards to this particular agenda item, you're seeking any further direction from the committee, or you have what you need?
At this moment in time, the board would like to just see some modeling on what the rates would need to be in order to exhaust the debt, meaning we would go into 2028 without debt or minimal debt at that time. And I'm going to just take some options of which how debt, if we were to continue with debt, how debt could be handled.
Does that sound okay to everybody? I think that Robin has encapsulated that quite nicely. Yes, Councillor Pembleton.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, I guess I'm happy with that. I guess my thought is if we decide to move forward with Municipal Service Corporation, I'm not sure how long it would take to do that. And then if we do that, there may not be a need to increase our prices as much to eliminate that debt by 2028. So I think we just need to keep in mind that if we decide to go that direction, this may change again next year with our budget next year. I understand we can't guess at it for next year, and I don't know how you would ever do modeling to guess at that. So, but yeah, I just not sure how that's going to work.
Addressed to the Municipal Service Corporation, if the board at its meeting, and I'm just going to put a quick plug, if we could just hold on after the meeting so we can discuss that conversation, the meeting to discuss our Municipal Service Corporation. If that was the direction of this board, then my recommendation is that we move quite quickly. We engage Mary Ellen Bench, if you're happy with her services, to move quite quickly. My concern is you're going to be moving into an election year, and then that will just cause the whole board, and then we may delay. So it'd almost be like, let's wrap up this board next year, if that's the direction you want, and get that into place. If it's a decision not to go, then you do still have to consider how you're handling debt and what that might look like. But my direction would be your MSC should be try to be wrapped up before we get into an elections.
Makes sense. Continue to ride the horse we got.
One you got.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay, so that's great. Do you need a recommendation?
Or do you want to?
Would you like a motion on that, or are you comfortable?
We have direction from this committee on how they would like us to proceed.
Okay, you're happy, we're
Thank you.
happy. Perfect, thank you. Next is item agenda 6.1, or sorry, 6.2, that is the.
Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Thank you very much, Mike. And we won't take any more of your time. Thank you
Night,
for
everybody.
supporting us.
Thank you, Mike,
Oh, Sam.
and Sam
Second,
has his
Sam
hand
has
up.
hand up.
So maybe hold on just one second, Mike. Hi, Sam.
Where'd you go, Sam?
I'm here. Thank you, Chair. Sorry about that. I just wanted to let you guys have your financial conversation and then just kind of throw in Aqua's portion of, we obviously developed this capital plan. So obviously the elephant in the room is the standpipe. And I wanted to kind of let you know that, we've delayed this. I believe the original recommendation was like 2026. We've recommended in this capital plan, I believe, is that we're going to get this tower inspected yet again to see there may be opportunity that this gets delayed. And I know this kind of throws a wrench into these conversations, but I think a delay would be helpful, but I don't want to promise that. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that it's looking more and more like a replacement, not a refurbishment. And maybe this wasn't exactly the time and the place to it doesn't really change a lot. That's kind of the point of switching to a replacement over refurbishment. The price tag is very similar, within a couple $100,000 of based on initial estimates. So I want everybody to have that in their head that we called it refurbishment for years, and then through a little research that Aqua's done and through our capital planning groups and things like that, that we're actually probably going to be recommending a replacement of the standpipe. And again, it's the price tag. We've had this discussions with some staff and things like that. It's the price tag's not that much different, but just have that. I just want that. When we discuss the standpipe, it's not a refurbishment anymore. It's most likely a replacement, and that may seem a little crazy. And that both options will be presented when the time comes. But that is the way Aqua's leaning to when we talk about recommending the work to happen in 2028. That is what the dollar figure in the capital budget is based off of, is a replacement. So I hope I didn't cause more questions than answers, but that 2.9 million that Mike and Robin have been working with is based on a replacement of the standpipe, not a refurbishment.
Well, Sam, thanks for being the bearer of the news, but most importantly, thank you for the heads up. We appreciate that, and we'll look forward to getting that report in the future so that we can weigh our options. Mayor Mayhew.
Thanks, Chair. Sam, the cybersecurity costs are kind of a standout cost there too. They're substantial. Can you elaborate on that at all?
Yeah, through the chair. So, that presentation was made at the last Tri-County Board meeting. Obviously, it's a thing that's out there in the industry. We want to protect the board and the users and the system from cyber attacks. If you recall, our score wasn't very good, which wasn't unexpected. That there's a reason why we did that maturity assessment. And the score wasn't the best. And obviously there's cost to improving that score. The other part of that, if you recall, is the upgrading of the hardware and the software and the hardware of the system. Yes, it is substantial. It seems crazy to say that this equipment is out of date with the plant only being, 15, 16 years old. But the equipment was 30 years old. The equipment is technically was 30 years old when it was installed. So it is out of date, significantly out of date, and there is serious ramifications of that. Adding on to the cybersecurity, it's expensive stuff to fix, unfortunately, and we've done our best to limp it along. It's still functional. There's no, as far as the cybersecurity thing is different, but as far as like the hardware and the software that we're working with, there's no immediate danger there. But when it does fail, there is no we're no longer supported. It's just like your laptop when at home. You're running on a Windows 5 and you call Microsoft for help when the computer screws up. They're going to tell you that they can't help you. And we're reaching that state on some of our equipment. So that's what that line item is. It was the Aramosa and SEMA Plus originally recommended this to be done in 3 years, before it even made it to staff. I requested that they find a way to spread that over 5 years, and that's how it was presented to you folks at the last meeting, and how it's presented in this capital budget.
Thanks, Sam. That's fine. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Okay. So then, a recommendation for just to encapsulate all that we've discussed here would be that the Tri-County Water Board hereby receives the 2026 budget discussion report from Robin Greenall for discussion, administrator for discussion purposes. Motion?
If I may.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, yes.
and that staff return with an
And
amendment.
further research directed to staff.
Thank you.
Councillor Pempleton, thank you very much. And Councillor Drouillard, thank you. Second, any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you so very much. Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes, thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you.
Next is to discuss the 2026 meeting schedule. So that was part of our agenda package as well. I believe all of the meetings remain on Tuesday nights. Does anybody have any issues or concerns with the proposed schedule? Speak now or yes, Councillor Pempleton.
Yeah, I guess my only concern is the November 17th one. I believe Dutton's inaugural meeting is like the 16th or something like that. So I'm not sure how that one would work, but
That's it. So yes, through the chair, that is one thing that I put in the report, that we're gonna have to look ahead and work around on that one. Because I do believe West Elgins will be the 19th. So that may be a very busy week for all councils. Certainly we could put it out a couple weeks, take that one right out.
Can we move it back a couple of weeks, or does it have to be after elections or before?
It doesn't, I don't think there's really any difference whether it's before or after, Robin. I could.
As long as it was after November, we'd have the third quarter results, but we wouldn't want to rush them either, right?
Yeah, so this, the November one is typically for the budget presentation.
Just for the budget? Okay.
Yeah. So the structure's proposed a little bit different, as you can see in my report, that instead of starting them right in January was usually a bit challenging to get all the year-end numbers and everything going. So we've moved it out a little bit. And then also avoiding the months of July and August, as those are typically prime vacation months for everybody. So nobody wants to come to a water board meeting, I guess. So looking ahead at November 2026, we could aim for so if we're sticking with the Tuesday night, it'd be either the 10th or the 3rd.
So in your mind, it makes more sense to have the existing in-place board have that budget discussion as opposed to waiting until elections and having the new board be part of those budget discussions?
challenge with waiting is that councils then need to determine who their representative is going to be for the board.
Okay.
And councils may not have done that yet.
Everybody okay with an early November 2026 meeting then?
Yeah. If the 10th, yeah, either the 3rd or the 10th. So
I think the 10th would be great,
Yeah.
Bill. Yeah, that would allow everyone at the Horseshoe to come back for the last time till it's restructured.
All right, Mayor May has proposed the 10th. Madam Clerk has confirmed that that works. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. Excellent. Okay, thank you very much for that. Well, let's continue to do the good work that we've been doing, and the year will fly by, I'm sure. Final item before adjournment is the recommendation. Yes, thank you. So the recommendation is the Tri-County Water Board hereby receive the report from Terry Tostiak, recording secretary clerk, and approve the 2026 meeting schedule as presented. May I have a mover? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded by Councillor McCollum. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Great.
Okay. Yes, final item is the 2026 chair and vice chair. So terms of reference, I think it's every year. We review the the chair and the vice chair. So
yes, so this is
you want-
the dreaded one that everybody always does not like to do. So through this term, Corey has done both chair and vice chair. So Corey is not eligible to be. And same with Councillor Denning. He has also done vice chair and now a term as chair. So he is also not eligible to be a chair or vice chair. We thank you both for your terms. Currently, our vice chair is Alan Mayhew. So what we typically do is I call 3 times for a nomination for chair. And then we call 3 times for a nomination for vice chair. So first off, I will open it up for nominations for chair.
Deputy Mayor Tellier has her hand up.
Good evening. Thank you for giving the floor. I call for a nomination for Councillor Drouillard for chair.
We have a call for Councillor Drouillard for chair.
So I will call a second time for nominations for chair.
Any other nominations?
And a third time we will call for nominations for chair.
It's very important. Councillor Drouillard, did you accept this position? That was a
Yes,
very enthusiastic yes.
yeah,
Thank you.
this one was trying to,
Thank you very much. That wasn't
I'll
too
just need your
painful.
help along.
No problem. So now we're going to open up the floor for vice chair. I will call the first time for nominations for vice chair.
Councillor McCollum.
You're muted. No. Here's at this.
We've all done it.
I nominate Mike Shouldice as vice chair.
Thank you, Councillor McCollum. Councillor Shouldice has been nominated, so Madam Clerk?
Yep, I will call for a second time for nominations for vice chair. And third time for nominations for vice chair.
Councillor Shouldice, are you willing to stand? Thank you very much.
Perfect. So I do have a motion then to appoint as, we have Amaryllis Drouillard as chair and Mike Shouldice as vice chair.
Motion? That would be a motion from Councillor Pembleton. Seconder? Councillor McCollum, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous and it is carried. And thank you so much to both of you for accepting the positions, and certainly been an honor for me to sit in this chair, and I've been very, very proud and happy to serve. Final item is the adjournment and recommendation.
That the Tri-County Water Board hereby adjourn at 7:41 PM to meet again at 7:00 PM on Tuesday, December 9th, 2025, or at the call of chair.
And I don't even think we really need a motion on that, but thank you, Deputy
Before
Mayor.
you go, don't go anywhere.
Tell you, yes, that after we're done the formalities of this meeting, stick around, everybody on the committee for a moment. Seconded by Councillor McCollum. All in favor? The chair terminated the meeting. Thank you, everybody.
And Aqua, this is a governance